Hello, fellow bakers. I am making a thank you cake today, and I thought that I would show you some of my tips and tricks for doing cakes. Some of the easy little tricks that will turn out to give you an incredible cake. Okay, one of the first things is prepping your pan. Now I have this Wilton 8-inch pan, and the way that my grandmother did it, the way that my mom did it, when you were prepping a cake to put, or pan to put your cake in, you would add shortening to your pan or oil, and then you would put flour in it, you dust the flour off, and then you had a prepared floured cake pan. Well, I started using that when I first started cake decorating, and my cake decorating instructor, when I took some classes, gave me this tip, and it has been invaluable for all of the cake decorating that I have done, because I have never had a moment where the cake didn't come out. It just, every time, perfect release of my cake, and didn't have to worry about maybe it was sticking a little bit. It always came out. So, here's what you do. I have just a glass measuring cup. This is the 2-cup measure. Into this, and you can do this with a bowl also, I'm going to put 1/4 cup of flour, 1/4 cup of oil, and that's just general vegetable shortening or vegetable oil. And then I have shortening, and again 1/4 cup. Now this recipe is basically 3 parts, so same amount for each one. You can do 2 tablespoons of oil, 2 tablespoons of shortening, 2 tablespoons of flour. You can do a cup of oil, a cup of shortening, a cup of flour. It is always the same measurement across the 3 ingredients. And really, this is going to make more than what I need, but just for the sake of this video, I made it easy with the 4th cup. So, I have my 4th cup. Just a second, let me grab a knife. One thing I forgot. Okay, so then I'm going to take my spatula here and put that 4th cup of shortening in. And if you do your water and oil first, the release on your shortening is pretty clean. So you can see it didn't really leave that much in it, and I'm not even using a rubber spatula. I'm just using this plastic spatula. Okay, so once you have your 3 ingredients in your mixing bowl, so flour, oil, and shortening, I take my hand mixer with 1 beater attachment. If you do a larger batch, you can do the 2 beaters. Because I'm doing this small container, I do 1. And we're just going to mix. Okay, once you mix it up, you'll actually see that it actually changes colors. Right now, it has the color and consistency of icing. A lot of air was added to it, so it gets lighter in color. And you just want to really mix it to be incorporated. You could do it with a fork or a metal beater, but it's going to take you longer, and you might not get as creamy of consistency as you do with the hand mixer, because you can turn it. I did about medium-high. Once you get that mixed up, then you take your pan and a pastry brush. You can also use, I've seen people use paper towels. I like the pastry brush because you basically paint it on the bottom of the pan. So you're just going to take it and liberally cover the sides and bottom of your pan. I'll do it here where you can see me doing it. Just make sure you don't have any shiny metal showing. Okay, so my pan is covered. And for this cake, I'm doing 2 8-inch rounds. So I'll do my second one. Now the other thing that I do with my cakes, if you've ever noticed that your cake, when you bake it, gets really high in the center, then you have to cut off that high point if you're going to do any stacking, because it won't stack properly. You lose a lot of cake that way, and you lose a lot of height, actually, if you're going to stack them, because you've cut all of that extra cake off the top. Not that anybody's complaining about cake scraps laying around, but you'd like to use as much cake in your final product as possible. So, side note, they're both covered, and I still have this much left. Now, I have heard that you can save this for up to a week in a sealed container. I usually try to only make enough that I will use that day and then be done with it. Okay, so if you've ever had your cake where it rises up and it doesn't, you have to cut that much off, the thing that you do, and this is just a trick if you're doing a lot of cake decorating, is a wise investment. I've had mine for about 8 years now. You'll see they're kind of scuzzy looking. It is these fabric wraps, and you can see this one actually already has it on it. What it is a fire retardant material on one side, and then almost like a tea towel material on the back, and you soak them. Right now I have mine soaking in a mason jar, just in water. Then I'm going to take it and just run my fingers down it so that I get all the water out. I mean, it still needs to be wet, but you don't want it drippy wet. And as you can see, mine's dark from over the years of using it and getting cake mix on it and stuff, but still works great. So then you wrap these around your pan, and you can find these in the cake decorating section, usually of like Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, any place that sells Wilton cake decorating supplies will have these cake wraps. They usually have a corsage pin, a metal stick pin with them that you use to secure it. You can see I have my little pin right here, and you just wrap it around. What this does, it slows down the overall cooking process so that your cake mix cooks evenly. When you're baking a cake, it's going to get warmer on the outside edge than in the center. So the outside edge sets up and the center is still fluid. So it continues to rise, whereas the outside edge, it can't rise anymore because it's already set up. This slows it down, slows the outside edge baking down, so it does a more consistent baking across the top of your cake. And in this video, once I post it, I will share videos of what it looks like after the fact, the height of the cake and how it rises up nice and flat. And I rarely have to trim off or level cakes by using this method, so I don't lose any cake. Now, people are sad because I don't have any cake scraps, but you still have cake left over. Or you still have all of that cake in your final product, excuse me. Okay, so we have it all coated. Now I can pour my cake mix in. And like I said, once I upload this video, I will post pictures of the final cake, or the cake after it's been baked, in the comments so that you can see the smooth release of the cake. Something that I watch for, and that this, by using the flour and shortening method, you can really see with your cake, is that it actually releases from the side. So you have a gap between the edge of the cake and the pan, and that's how I know that my cake is done, because it's pulled away from the edge like that, and it can because of how you prepped your cake beforehand. Okay, I'm just pouring my cake mix batter into my 2 pans. Clean some of the cake mix off my hands. Okay, so I now have my 2 pans prepared with chocolate cake mix in them. They'll go in the oven. I'm going to put them on about 350 degrees, and they'll go for about 25 minutes, and then I'll start looking at them and watching for the cake to pull away from the edges. So I hope these helpful tips are good for you and they work. If you have any questions, just put them in the comment lines. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And watch for those pictures of what the cake looks like afterwards and how there's that quick release when you're taking them out of the pan. Okay, y'all have a good afternoon. Bye.